Hello and welcome to the Final Cut Half Cut with me, Jason Winter, and...
Do you have any more beer? Oh, it's me, Nick. Hey, what's up? Have you got any... I've got enough beer, don't worry about it. We're good?
Yeah, we're good, man. We're good. I like that. Cheers.
Cheers.
We're here live, together, socially distancing, but podcasting, finally, once again, Nick.
I know, it's been a long time. Too long. I've not seen a human face in, I'm going to say, 4 or 5 months. Right. It's been weird. I didn't think I'd miss it.
No.
But I've missed it.
Yeah, I've had 1 pint of Guinness since January. I had 1 pint of Guinness in one pub, and even that tasted like guilt.
I know, it's like you feel bad.
Yeah. I don't feel that bad.
Neither do I.
I'm being pretty responsible, so in that sense, my guilt level is about as it was before pre-lockdown, but I've done a lot of bad things. So
well, I feel like we can't feel that guilty because like we live near the sea.
Yeah. And
have you seen the amount of people
are by
the sea? I have never seen this amount of people.
Yeah. It's insane, and also like for the viewers at home. I have a garden as well, so I'm extremely privileged, and so I don't I feel bad, but I'm just trying to do my thing.
That tells everyone how poor we are. That the idea of having a garden is
it's...
I'm in a place of privilege. Yeah. I can grow grass every now and then.
Grow some beans, some tomato plants. That's been a lockdown therapy. Yeah,
I don't like growing stuff. I don't like depending on something to live on my benefit. I can barely look after myself, and now you want to give me a living thing?
Yeah. It's more of a burden for you.
Yeah, it's same. Like I'm never gonna have kids.
Yeah. So that's what my mate Mike used. That's what Mike used to say about me trying to give him house plants or something. But now he's dating someone. Oh, I'm collecting house plants. I'm like, you stole my thing, man. And you were never about this, Mike. You prick. No, I'm joking. So just outing Mike on my podcast. You're getting tagged on Facebook, mate. I feel bad about that now.
No, that's fine.
We can edit it out, or we can leave it in, and I'll see you in the car park.
So,
anyway,
Jason, why are we here? I'm assuming you want to. We're here for a reason. I'm assuming you didn't invite me because you were lonely.
No, I am lonely, and I have also assembled you here, Nick, to do another podcast on another film franchise / cult classic, which is an absolute banger, and we've picked our absolute favourite today, which is John Carpenter's 1982 The Thing. Yes.
A film I'm assuming everyone, even if you don't like it, you can admit it is a classic film.
We've done a lot of mainstream franchises, and we've said Star Wars. If you don't know what happens with Star Wars by now, go the fuck home. I get that. But The Thing is more of a cult film, but everybody that's into film, particularly horror films, if you haven't seen The Thing, you're not a horror fan.
Well, I want to talk about Battle Royale. Battle Royale and The Thing are kind of in the same vein in the sense that you've heard, if you're not really into films, you've definitely heard of it. But if someone's like, oh, I'm really into films, you'll be like, oh, but you watch The Thing, and they say no.
Yeah,
you're meeting somebody's like, then you don't watch films.
Yeah,
not to be gatekeeping, but if you like films, you've watched.
They're the benchmark for what you have had to have seen in order to pass the test.
It's Bubby's first weird film.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah,
where it's kind of like a Tarantino films.
Yeah,
well, everyone's seen it, but if you be like, I'm not seeing it, it's like you need to watch them.
Yeah. You can't just get it. Yeah, it's Well, yeah, I mean, I bloody love The Thing. Shall I?
Yeah, you adore The Thing.
I do adore The Thing, yeah. I had a weird experience at university where I broke up, I had a breakup, and then for the next year, while I was in a very bad place, The Thing was the film that I watched to go to sleep, which lovers of The Thing know it for its wonderful set pieces of grotesque special effects.
And violence and gore.
Yeah, violence and gore. And I'm not even a massive horror fan, and I hadn't seen this film before. So it was the most bizarre thing. I was going through a phase of like, so what I do is I go through the top 100, 250 on IMDb, and just because studying film, it was a really easy way of going like, right, have I seen that? Have I seen that? Can I try and watch Citizen Kane? Oh God! And like, you know, I don't claim to be the perfect film student in watching all those black and white films because my attention span has been fucked for like a decade. But anyway, the thing I discovered because I was watching all of these, going through the top lists, and my friend had just told me about it. He was like, "Oh, it's like because I really the reason why I like Alien is because it's that perfect blend of science fiction and horror." And then like you can look at, like we've talked about this with the Terminator, like how those themes get taken through, but then when you make it into an action film or like a road film or like a war film, like those things just get diluted down, and the original thing that was cool about it then gets lost along the way because different directors, you know, you get all that.
Yeah, they have different visions of
yeah. Whereas the thing, you know, in John Carpenter in particular, with a lot of other work we briefly touched upon before, is like he is a classic auteur. He does the soundtrack, he writes the script, he directs it, he produces it. So,
does he edit it?
Yeah. He also edits it as well. Yeah. So from start to finish is his vision, and we've talked about before with him with some technology. I think you mentioned what was the surfing. Do you remember before you mentioned the film where he surfing?
Escape from LA.
Yeah, it was fucking
like,
awful. Yeah.
Have you finally watched that? Have you watched?
I have watched it.
Yeah, it is
and
atrocious.
It's terrible, yeah.
It's weird because like just a brief tangent. Like John Carpenter, he's like a film who's like directed some incredible films.
Yeah.
Like Halloween, The Thing.
Yeah.
I really like The Fog, but that's not necessarily a great film. But he's also directed some proper dross films where it's like Ghosts of Mars.
Yeah.
Like Escape from New York's a great film.
Yeah.
Escape from LA, atrocious.
He did They
film.
Live, didn't he?
Did They Live?
Yeah.
They Live's a fantastic.
We wouldn't have Obey the clothing without that guy.
We wouldn't. We also, but also that's Andre the Giant as well. Shout out to Andre.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like he's like, it's very weird because like most directors have like, they're quite consistent. Like Christopher Nolan, I don't even rate him that much, but he's like a very, very, like, he's never made a film I'm like, this is objectively bad.
Yeah, no, I'd say he's that some of them have formulas that they understand what works and what is, you know, for instance, like the high definition, like expansive, like that clinical coldness he applies, you know, from Inception to Dark Knight.
Yeah, but it's weird because like I feel like there are a few directors that people say like these are some of the greatest.
Yeah,
and it's like Nolan, Cameron, all those people, and John Carpenter gets put up there a lot.
Yeah,
but I'd say he's the only one who has films that could be considered some of the worst of all time. Like Nolan's worst film is like, oh, it was all right. When John Carpenter makes a bad film, it is awful. And I feel like a lot of other respected directors, I feel like he's kind of got a pass because he's made such good films. They're going like, he's had a one. Yeah. He's had one Escape from LA. He's not going to make another, Ghost of Mars. Oh, I did it again. Alright, we just won't give him films anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I think I talked about this in a previous podcast as well, but I saw that Starman. Do you remember me talking about Starman?
Yeah.
With Kevin Bridges. Yeah, and that, again, like, it was interesting to me that I think John Carpenter takes a lot of creative risks. And like with people like James Cameron and stuff, you know, all of the best sort of films in action, science fiction particularly, there's a mirror between what is going on in the film and obviously the innovation they had on the production of it. So a lot of them, you know, bullet time in the Matrix, the special effects in the Terminator, like all of these things, like they push the envelope, and the directors that on a production level are trying to push it, and then the product of the film that comes out is obviously better and unique because of it. And I think John Carpenter's been willing to take so many risks, but obviously he's made a lot of other films on a lot lower budgets where unfortunately it doesn't matter how much creativity you have, like if he had $10 million more, it might have worked out, but he just didn't. Like he I don't know, I get your point, but he also I respect him a lot. But anyway, so you were talking about, you were going through, sorry for that tangent. That was a good tangent.
But so you were going down the IMDb
list, talking to my mates about some films, because I was talking about how Alien, you know, perfect blend of horror and science fiction. And I was talking to my mate about it because there's so little films that actually are both science fiction and horror. Like properly so. Like even Aliens isn't really a horror film anymore.
Well, yeah, because they're two genres that tend to get overlooked for a lot of like critical acclaim. It's like horror films tend to not get voted for best.
No, it's a good point. Only in recent years.
The Lighthouse should have got nominated, but it didn't. Sci-fi doesn't, other than until recently. I think Interstellar and Gravity.
Yeah. Gravity.
But that's quite a recent trend of. Like, it's usually like Oscar bait films, like dramas.
Yeah. Usually you've got either ensemble casts or you've got.
Or look, I'm a white person who's friends with a minority.
But it's even like structurally within the genres that they are never considered awards. Like, there's horror awards for horror films, but then, only until Get Out and like Jordan Peele's films in the last few years, where it's got a social and racial undertone to it, that it's considered Oscar awards worthy. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's a gimmick because he's making that racial point. It's just that it's unfortunate that obviously back in the day, like Halloween was groundbreaking, Nightmare on Elm Street was groundbreaking, but that's a commercial thing. But they don't get awards for that.
Yeah, because their horror tends to be looked down upon, which is a shame. But
I mean, if you think about the slasher genre itself, it is in itself a poppy. It's a pop culture.
Yeah, it is.
Consumable thing.
Like I love slasher films like Halloween, Friday the 13th, all that stuff. But I would not argue that they are anything lower than a very easily digestible thing. It's like I'm not gonna be like, oh, when Jason stabs this woman multiple times, that's high art.
I'm trying to put that court case to bed, Nick. I mean, you really don't.
I didn't even know. I couldn't make the connection.
That's an edit. You talk about Jason
when
Voorhees.
Mike Myers...
Jason Voorhees, you meant, didn't you?
Yes, when Jason Voorhees stabs that woman a bunch, that's high
art.
Thank
you.
It'd be impossible to... I couldn't...
Yeah.
I can't make the argument.
Thanks for that, Nick.
I'm sorry. I forgot that like his name's your name.
Yeah. When I can't think of a horror guy that's called Nick something. Nick, no, I don't know.
Nicolas Cage, he's terrifying.
Nicolas Cage,
as a human being, he's pretty scary.
He's just terrifying. Yeah. So, I mean, right, so yeah.
So you're going through the 250.
Going through the 250, going through a bad time, talking about horror science fiction films, and my mate was like, well, have you seen The Thing? And he sort of explained, it was like, it's Kurt Russell, it's by John Carpenter, this, that and the other, and I was like, I've got to see this film. So I was about 21, whacked it on one night, and I just fell in love with it. I was just, actually, thinking about it, I think my housemate was watching it whilst I came home one night, and I talked about this film with another friend, and he was watching it. I was like, that's the film my mate recommended. I just sat down, watched this film with him, and he's going, "You're a real lad, sleepy child." And he's doing all the quotes, and I was like, and this guy, he was like, "So you've never watched this film, and you study film?" And he's like, "This is one of my favorite." And he's, when someone just loves something, and they're like, "Come and love it."
I'm going to introduce
you to this shit.
Yeah.
And I just watched this film one night, and was going through a personal breakup, going through a tough time, and it was something about the synth and the soundtrack that really got me. It's just like, even though it is a horror film and it's gory when you look at it, I find the VHS, like the actual film aesthetic and the specific John Carpenter style of synth. He has very long, dulcet, it's like it moves a lot. It's a very slow. It's not like he's doing shrieking noise.
John Carpenter, he always has his soundtrack is kind of like wallpaper. It's not.
He'll be watching the film, and I've seen clips.
Yeah, he doesn't
write the synth as he's doing the thing, and he frees it and he'll bring it back. And
it's like he doesn't want the soundtrack to overdo the scene, because it's like Hans Zimmer's a great composer, but everyone, when I think of Inception, the first thing I think of is,
massive.
Overture. John Carpenter is kind of like, it's for the scene. It's not.
It's atmospheric.
Yeah, it's very atmospheric. Yeah. It's not trying to make itself bigger than the film. It's for the film.
Yeah, and so for that reason, literally, it became my go-to film at the end of the night when I was tired, like this sweet setup. I had this 40-inch TV, 42-inch TV, my old PC, and I'd be in my double bed, getting drunk or whatever, and wireless keyboard and mouse. So I had the entire internet on a massive TV, just whatever I wanted, all day, all night long, and so it was brilliant. And so I was obviously legally streaming all of these things, and the thing became my go-to thing I needed to watch to go to sleep.
Yeah.
That's how badly my life was going at that point. If that was what comforted me in the early hours of the morning.
I need to see Kurt Russell attack an alien just so I can get them Z's. You know what I mean?
I'm not joking. It sounds traumatizing now, but that is the truth, people. Yeah, that is actually for real. That is a true story about how I discovered it. And I would say, on average, I would watch that film probably I watch that film most nights of the week for at least a year, and I watch it regularly still now. So I've probably seen that film like literally a year. I think I watched it like 280 times. Maybe not in like all the way through, because obviously I'd fall asleep halfway through and then have to pause it. But it had a profound effect on me, and it's very rare for me to fall in love with a thing like that, or the thing at that point, like later on in life. Like most of the stuff that we talked about, The Matrix and that, like I'm a big fan of a few franchises. Like I've spoke to you about Dark Crystal that I might like to cover and stuff, which segue to some bits about special effects, resurgence in Hollywood at the moment, and puppets and all of that. But like, I don't know. I just it's my I'd probably say is my favourite film. Is my number one favourite film over anything that I've been banging on about in previous podcasts. Do you like it, mate? Are you a fan?
I do. I'm not going to say I love it. I do really, really like it. But I watched this film when I was 9, 10. Well, because my father just was like, yeah, fucking watch it. It's a film.
Really?
Like, I watched so many films I shouldn't have watched when I was very young.
Nick. That is
but also
parenting. No,
100%. But like, it's also made me. I don't get like scared. I'm scared.
I've just realised that happened to me as well. I was even younger. I must have been 6 or 7, and my dad just left out a VHS tape of The Fly.
Oh, I fucking loved The Fly so much.
Honestly, no, but can you imagine
as a child that would
watching that? It fucking traumatised me for real. Like that was like, you know, I had mixed emotions about Jeff Goldblum turning up in Jurassic Park. I was like, this fucking guy ain't gonna solve it. Have you seen that meme about Jeff Goldblum in the future where they get him to do because they do a thing where it's like genetically freezing Jeff Goldblum's genetic code, and then one day, hundreds of thousands of years in the future, evolved dinosaur scientists are going to uncover Jeff Goldblum's DNA inside nectar, and then clone him, and then surprise, motherfuckers, it's a sequel to The Fly.
Now, I just found it weird how like during Jurassic Park they were like, yeah, Jeff Goldblum's an action hero. We can definitely make this guy
since when
an alpha male sort of.
Don't get me wrong, like, but that leather outfit, like
solid.
Women,
what a fit.
Women
solid
today
fit.
will remember that. Like women our age, yeah, not older women. I'm talking girls. Fucking love Jeff Goldblum in that. Like he's a sex symbol. You do know he's a sex symbol, don't you?
Yeah, I completely understand it.
If we're going to discuss the thing, we must at first agree that Jeff Goldblum
is a dime.
Is a sex symbol.
Jeff Goldblum in this film. He's a goddamn dime. Yeah. Shout out to Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
But no, I watched this film when I was very young. But my father had a thing of
just allowing you.
No. He would also show me like behind the scenes.
Oh right.
So I'd also like
understand it wasn't
real. I would
real.
understand. So
I'd
like watch the. It immediately didn't scare me. I think he just knew I was interested.
My dad
in that
didn't
stuff.
do that. My dad just my dad's a proper free market capitalist.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how old you are. It's like the market will decide, and it just happens that I could work a VHS player from the age of 1.5. Yeah. So I watched all these mental films when I was like 5.
No, but so I'd watch a film and then I'd usually end up like listening to. I'd watch it again with the director commentary, and I'd watch behind the scenes. I every time I watch a film, I tend to rewatch it, unless I'm with people.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, oh, we all enjoyed this film. Let's all rewatch it with the commentary track. No, obviously.
Yeah,
but when it's just me, I tend to just rewatch it. The director, because my dad did. But so I kind of like. I was very young, but I also understood like this is all practical effects. None of this is real.
Yeah.
And I learnt that from a very, very young age that I can't die.
Okay.
So yeah, I
like that.
But yeah, like no. So the thing, because my father's quite old. He was always like there are a few films that are generally great.
Yeah.
Like it was Pulp Fiction, The Thing, Aliens. Films a child should not watch.
Yeah, but the seminal 20th century.
But yeah, like these are films that are like considered classics, and like, no one would argue against that. But like, so yeah, I've always respected The Thing more than I've necessarily loved it.
Right. Okay.
Well, like, I do like the film. I can watch the film many times.
Yeah. I mean, I truly fucking love it.
I know you love it.
Absolutely. You love the film. Like, watch it, and you know some of the lines, like particularly, there's that scene towards the end of the film. Obviously, it's famous for the blood bit with the knee and the flamethrower, and that's great. But I love the bit directly after that. That is when the old man
Gary's. Yeah.
You know what I'm going to say? It's the same thing as what Gary Oldman does in.
Is it where he's tied up?
Yes.
So, yeah.
I want to do the line. Hang on, he goes. Yeah. So in so it's the same thing as in. So yeah, it's the same as in what's the film? Leon. Yeah, Leon the Professional. So Gary Oldman's the corrupt gangster cop in that. And he's having one of his moments, and he's just been mugged off by Leon, and he goes, get me everyone.
Everyone?
He goes, everyone. He goes, everyone! And it's just like
that audio's just spiked.
Yeah, and then the other one is he goes, do you people mind if I didn't spend the entire winter tied to this fucking couch? And it's just those lines. Like when an actor goes, right, like I don't know like how much, like obviously John Carpenter went, right, I want you to go 0 and then go like,
I want you to go 0 to 100 in 0.5 of a second.
Yeah. And it's like
sudden screaming is.
I apologise for everyone that might be listening to this on headphones because I've had complaints before about the audio spiking up and me getting animated. But I had to do that, okay? Fuck your hearing. No, I'm joking. Please be careful. Be responsible with your audio levels. But yeah, those sorts of lines and like the energy that every single actor brings to the film, and the clearly defined characters straight away. Like there's a lot of showing, not telling. There's a lot of just we get presented this group of men. It's interesting to know we're talking about a film that literally had no women in.
Because we'll be comparing. Well, there's a reason because we're bringing up this because there was a prequel / remake. It's essentially a remake.
Because that actually came out about a year before the original time I saw the original thing. Because that came out in like what
2011.
Yes, 20.
Yeah. So basically, there was a prequel in quotes. It's essentially a remake, not shop, but it's a remake. But when you compare the films, they're completely different. But in the original, you learn all of these characters who they are within the first 10 minutes. Yeah. Because they're very good actors. There's Kurt Russell. He's McCready. Yeah. He's like the
let's go through the characters and then let's do a brief summary of the plot.
Well, because main thing is like there are scenes in it that are incredibly memorable. There's a few films where I'm like, there's films like, I definitely remember the diner scene in Pulp Fiction. I definitely remember the scene from Reservoir Dogs where it's the Mexican standoff. Obviously, there's multiple scenes in those films that you can remember, but in The Thing, like cheating bitch is a fucking great opening line for a character.
Yeah. The pouring the whiskey over the fucking
cheating bitch. The blood test scene is incredibly memorable.
Yeah.
The scene where they're all in the surrounded, like they're surrounding the fire.
Just to start with the dog, like just
Exactly.
the dog in the snow.
It's a film where like there are so many, like if someone did a parody of it, I'd know straight away what the parody is, depending on the way the camera looks.
Unique, yeah.
Like it's incredible. Like the final scene is so like easily to recognise.
Yeah, eerie and like open ended, and it's actually indicative of the entire theme of the film. But which is what I want to come on to later on. Which is obviously in a time of coronavirus, an unknown enemy and an unknown disease, something that you can't see or comprehend, and the element of trust is that the entire theme of the film is loneliness and trust, and the it just skewers that its central themes throughout every single element of the film. And there's just something I just want briefly. Right, I know we've been talking about this for 20 minutes here, but the Thing's plot is basically the Thing is an alien that comes out of the snow that a scientific research team discovers, and then it takes over their entire base, and they have to try and destroy it before it gets to the rest of humanity. If you didn't know that and you've been listening to us for 20 minutes, then shame on you. That's basically it. Yeah. And they're all trapped in this research facility meant to be in Antarctica or up the Arctic. I don't really understand Antarctic. Anyway, but they're in Antarctica, I think they are. And they are... Nick, your phone keeps going off. So the whole thing is about a theme about trust. And there's one thing that I want to get onto by Wilfred
Brimley.
Brimley. Unfortunately, the other reason why we've discussed doing this now is this is on a Wednesday, and a couple of days ago,
I think it was 3 days.
3 days ago, Wilfred Brimley passed away. Now he played the scientist Blair. Yeah, he played Blair, and the famous scene that I remember, it feels like when I showed my partner this film, I'm like getting so excited at each part of the next scene, because each scene to me I go, oh, and this bit, and I'm like, I get super excited, I get overly excited, and I basically ruin the film for her. So which is a common theme for me. But live podcast, it's like you're getting special features whenever you watch a film.
This is a DVD commentary.
Yeah, pretty much, mate. Nightmare. I'm a nightmare. And so the scene is very, very timely, and it's actually the midpoint of the film if you think about it. So up until that point, they've worked fairly cohesively, and the things just pick them off one by one. But that's the point where paranoia fully sets in, is because he looks at the
because I think at that point they've only killed Bennings.
Yeah.
I think at that point they've only killed the one dude who's like they've found being.
I'm gonna have to go and watch this when we finish this podcast, because I fucking love this film so much. I'm like, I want to be watching it.
Because I'm pretty sure at that point they've set the guy on fire who got shot.
Yeah. And that's Bennings.
Right. That's Bennings.
So just to explain, so Blair does a computer simulation of the Thing's capability for taking over Earth. Its infection rate. It's R rate, if you like. Now we all know what these fucking things are. It's calculating the R rate of this alien imposter. And so, just so you know, the Thing is an alien, and it can take on any form. It can replicate any organic life.
Yeah, it can assimilate.
It assimilates it, and you cannot tell it from the real deal. Anyway, so he's watching this 1980s synth computer simulation thing, crappy graphics, but it's going and then it says like the entire world will be taken over in a month. And he freaks out so much that he just wants to burn the entire facility down, and he gets a gun and he turns on the rest of the crew, because he's lost it. He's like, this thing is going to destroy the world.
Well, it's because you could argue that he's the true hero before, because eventually he does become the Thing.
Yeah, but we don't actually see it. That's the only plot point that's not really explained in the film.
Well, it's not explained, but like there's definitely a time where it could have happened. But it's like at that point we know he's a human being.
Yeah.
And at that point he's probably the most heroic character, because he's willing to kill himself.
Yeah.
and everyone else in order to make sure
what I really like
that nothing gets
yeah,
out.
Yeah. So
because he kills the dogs and he
Yes.
destroys all the like the
communication stuff
and the cars.
Yeah.
The snow cars.
Yeah.
What are they called? Snowmobiles. That's the one. He
yeah.
destroys all
and the
that.
helicopter.
And the helicopter. Like,
but then, what I love about that is like, so you think he's just destroyed it because he's safe at that point. He's Blair. Obviously, he's still a human. But then when they go underground, and then there's that spaceship that he's building. Like, I just fucking love the idea that, like, not only with this alien, like, because it's so deceitful. It's because the way they presents it's like, you know, I think we were talking about this. About the Jokers, that I was saying, like, the theme of the thing about not trusting something is because you know nothing about it. It's so other, which obviously in the time of the bloody coronavirus is a very prominent theme in our lives. This idea that, like, not only does it assimilate everything and it would take over the earth, but he still wants to go home and get his mates. Like that blew me away. I was like, what is this thing? Like, it really is like. It's so advanced, but yet in a way that you don't like it. It will never stop. Like, and it blew me away.
Yeah, well, that is also one of my favourite. Like, I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, but that's my favourite sight gag in that film is where they open because eventually they lock him up because he's been smashed, destroying everything, and they lock him up and they've got like a little thing they can see through.
Yeah.
And he's like made a noose.
Yeah.
And he's trying to convince him. He's like, I'm perfectly fine. Just let me out. I feel fine, but he's just got a noose just hanging behind him, and I don't know why, but that always makes me laugh.
I thought about that. I didn't know whether or not he made it or whether or not they put it there as a threat.
I feel like he made that because they kind of throw him in and lock it.
Yeah.
And obviously he got infected, but like this film is like it is a. Basic things like I know what Blair is. I know what Blair is into. Like, because like every single one of these characters is given a character. Yeah,
they're so well defined. They're like in the first 10 minutes. You know, I can't think of a better film that actually sets out like all of, because it relies on that very central cast. We've not got extras in the background.
No.
It's just those guys, and they're getting picked off one by one, and it relies on not just Kurt Russell and a couple of the other, like, for instance, Charles
Keith Davis.
Yeah. The voice actor for Spawn. He voiced Spawn. He voiced what else? He's in
Saints Row.
Yeah, he's in everything.
Yeah,
man.
he's in a bunch of shit.
He's an amazing voice actor. But yeah. So hey, that's why it's my favourite films, because it's just amazing on every single level.
Yeah, and one like when you mention the thing, I think the main thing people talk about when they talk about the thing is the practical effects.
Yeah,
the practical effects are in like even. To this day, they're still incredible. Yeah. I can still watch Norris get his hands eaten.
Yeah.
By
it's the use of light and also smoke, like not smoke, you know, like smoke machines and stuff, like where he's able to capture. I remember one of the things that I noticed instantly when I studied film was like I didn't consider is that the horror angle. So like normal films are like me looking at you now, straight on or from the side, like. But obviously, in order to create psychotic or chaotic angles, that you're shooting from up here or down there on a diagonal angle. So like if you remember, when the is it the Doctor when his stomach opens up and then eats the head of the other guy?
No, he eats because he's about to use a defibrillator.
Yeah, he uses a defibrillator on his arms. Yeah. And then we see that shot from above, and then we see it from and then when the head is going down, that thing where it turns into like the crab,
the spider thing,
like spider head thing.
It's really weird.
Is the most.
Do you know what's really weird? I can call it the spider thing, and I'm being incredibly accurate.
Yeah.
As if it's that spider thing. It's like you need to be.
I was going to call it a crab slug.
But it's like
legs are more crabby.
What is the thing? Except it's the spider thing. I was like, yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah. But all of that sequence, it's all special effects. It's all puppetry. It's all like.
Well, because when he gets his arms bitten off, that's just a guy who doesn't have arms and a face mask.
Is it really?
That's just a guy who was born without arms. They just put a face mask on. They just put them too.
So it was also famous. The other practical effect that it was famous for was having the longest single shot of a man on fire. when when old matey gets set on fire.
Bennings.
No. At the end, the curly-haired guy. He goes, fuck this man, and then the thing bites him, and he goes, and then they have to set him on fire. And then he
Windows. Yeah,
Windows.
Windows and Palm bites Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a really, really bad dummy when he's kind of throwing
you
him
can
around.
just see that he's on fire.
Yeah.
And you can see that he's a dummy. Yeah, it's like you can see he's wearing a suit. Like all those things, fine. But I mean, it was like that was the longest. That was a world record for. I don't know. I don't even know if it's been beaten, actually. Like, I know that was a fact back in the day. I don't know if the record still holds, but it's interesting. Recently I've rewatched Dark Crystal. And also there's a brilliant documentary about the making of the Dark Crystal. Obviously, Jim Henson, biggest puppetry guy. And I just wanted to have a shout out to puppetry and to special effects. To actual practical animatronic effects, because it is so difficult to do, and those things that pull it off so well. And John Carpenter was a genius at it, and that this film, The Thing, is a calling card for practical effects. And it's worthy to know that because of the popularity of the new Netflix Dark Crystal and stuff like that, that the new Jurassic Park is going to have. I think they said they've got 5,000 different animatronics. They're going to have as much animatronic dinosaurs as they are. And I think that's a good thing, because in recent years, we've talked about, our very first podcast being Blade, and the shitty...
we've
talked about
bad CGI.
Bad CGI in terms of...
We talk about that a lot.
Those things, it's a theme within Hollywood, because obviously Hollywood's tried to get to a point where this technology works. People like James Cameron and Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson, and all the Wachowski siblings, and all these people that have done the big Hollywood blockbusters in recent years, apart from really Avengers, but I'm sure the Avengers pushed innovation. Those things matter, but obviously Blade 1's finale, obviously the bloody CGI looks shit. And all I'm saying is it's a choice for filmmakers that they now, if audiences, and genuinely go and watch Jurassic Park 1 with the T-Rex scene, right? Yeah, you can see it's a puppet, but it's fucking, the kid's real, the rain's real, yeah, the banging on the roof is real, it's visceral, it's immediate, and that's what, I don't give a shit what anybody says about the CGI argument. I'm kind of fed up with it, because it clearly works. In the Dark Crystal, right, it clearly works to use puppets and animatronics because you can't get that mixture of light, and you can, in the rain and all of it, and things like The Thing, and particularly if you go and check out, I would, even if you don't want to finish a Dark Crystal, go and watch the making of documentary, because it's just the amount of love and expertise put into something like that, to build something like that. I genuinely hope, and I don't mean to divert into talking about Dark Crystal, I just mean in terms of animatronics and a mixture, if they were to remake The Thing today, before things like Dark Crystal and Jurassic World are doing more animatronics and doing more puppetry, because they know it looks better, right? And it's a choice, right? Not just of money, but of just doing things properly. Is they actually integrated the puppets and the animatronics with CGI, but you can't tell where the CGI is. But all they're doing is slightly lifting the mouths of the puppets, slightly adding a angle to the eyebrows or to whatever, yeah. And it is the perfect assimilation of these technologies in order to produce something that is unique and it works. And I believe that's the future for Hollywood. And I want to demand Hollywood right now on my I'm basically like Joe Rogan of film, so you're going to listen to me.
Yeah, we have 10 followers, we're big time now.
Yeah, no, I'm joking, but it would be nice to see more of that, because I think CGI only goes so far, and if they fucking remake The Thing and use CGI where all those practical things, it will never, you should never remake The Thing. We talked about the prequel remake with the Norwegians, but if you ever remake The Thing because you're after bloody intellectual property Hollywood, then just use practical effects, but don't do it because it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
So,
the whole.
What's your opinion on the old special or animatronics?
I've always been a fan of practical. My main concern is not concern, but my main problem with it is like I can see when it shifts to CGI.
Mm-hmm.
I've not got. If you make a CGI film, I'm fine with it because I can. Those are the characters I can. If I'm following a CGI character into their fight scene or whatever it is, that is still the same person I'm watching in the CGI. If I'm watching a normal person and all of a sudden they become CGI, it takes me out of the film so quickly, like instantaneously.
Yeah.
Like mine, so they remade the Thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a prequel.
I've only seen clips because I have no interest.
I watched it in cinema. It in cinema.
Oh dear, I'm lucky.
I was like 15, 16. I watched it in cinema. It's not bad. It's not good. It is simply
by the numbers.
It's a 5. It is so forgettable.
Yeah.
The only reason I remember it is because it is a prequel to The Thing.
Yeah.
If it was any other film, I wouldn't give a shit about this.
Yeah,
film.
and that's the thing. It's like it's got like if it like it's the original is so good. How did they put it through test audiences like they have to in America?
Like this isn't.
And all of that.
If they were like, hey, we're remaking Village of the Damned or Children of the Corn, where it's like it's kind of a shit film, I'll be like, I completely understand it. But like, you don't need to remake The Thing. It's flawless.
Yeah.
It's not obviously it's not flawless, but it's like it is kind of perfect.
No, it is basically a masterpiece.
Exactly, but it's
I was trying to think what's better. Like I would say, RoboCop in terms of a like RoboCop 1. Don't forget everything else after it, right? As a 90-minute action satire, like as what it is a absolute minute by minute masterpiece. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking The Thing. I was like, even like Terminator and other big franchises that were more commercially successful aren't as tight as something like The Thing is. Like it is just a tight movie.
Well, because there are films that I don't even enjoy that I would say you shouldn't. Like I don't like E.T.
Right.
At all. I think it's
not.
No, I don't give a shit about that film.
You don't get emotional at it or anything.
Nah, I don't like it. But if someone said we're remaking E.T., I'd be like, no, you're fucking not. That's E.T. You cannot touch that.
Why don't wait? So hang on. Why don't you like E.T.?
Well, I didn't watch it when I was young.
Right.
I watched it when I was older. And I was like, this thing's fucking gross. I don't like it.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't know. E.T. in context of The Thing, it's bizarre. But yeah, I mean, like its themes are very, very strange.
Yeah, it's one of those films where like E.T. I just didn't give a shit about.
It's a very poor way to train, one member of Charlie's Angels as a child to put a pretend alien in there. Poor old Drew Barrymore.
But yeah,
that's an obscure Drew Barrymore's career reference there.
I don't think it. No, but everyone's watched it.
Yeah.
Even I don't even like it. I've watched it more than once. But yeah, it's like.
Did you try and fly on your BMX and that's why you don't like it?
No, I can't ride a bike.
Can you not?
No.
Okay, that's a revelation for the. I'll get you some.
I can't swim either.
Oh man. But you can talk. Films are bloody good talk.
Oh yeah,
so give you that, mate. We're not here to ride bikes.
I don't need to move to talk about films. But like
exactly,
The Thing remake / prequel.
Yeah,
it's set in the Norwegian camp, and that is actually quite a good concept.
I think it's a good premise. Like when you explained it to me, because I just saw the adverts, I didn't know what it was at the time, and I just ignored it. And then you explained it to me when we were having a production discussion about it a few weeks ago, and I thought it was a fucking good idea. That's why I watched some clips on YouTube. And then you're like, no, go watch it to see how terrible it is compared to The Thing.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I think it's a triumph. I think it's an achievement that they managed to literally not be able to replicate any of the good elements of it. Like it's amazing
impressive.
How they didn't go, should we do it a little bit retro? Can we have someone looking like can we have the the Easter egg stuff that the most pop culture things do in everything now?
Well, that's the thing. It's like because they do recreate a few aspects, but not, if you know what I mean. Because basically, because in The Thing they find a Norwegian camp and they decide basically the entire thing was like, what happened in Norway, in the Norwegians?
Yeah.
Which by itself is, if someone had to say, we're doing a prequel to The Thing, I'd be like, you would do that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I even said at some point, before that prequel was recommended, I'd be like, do you know what would be a good idea? If we did film the prequel camp in the Norway.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was a fucking kid, but it doesn't count.
Sounding like that, yeah. You must have been.
But it's like there are a lot of problems with that film. For a start, there are more characters in the prequel than there is in the original.
Right.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You can have a few characters, but people were dying, and I had no idea who they were. I didn't know what they did in the camp. I didn't know what their personality was. I didn't know their names.
Right.
I'm pretty sure there are people there who show up for one scene and die.
Yeah.
Like in the original, I know all their names.
Yeah,
I know what they do.
Yeah, it's very important that we know them as characters and their humanity, and they're well-defined characters. That once this, it's not just a sort of slasher, bodies getting murdered and the jump scare thing of what they were trying to achieve in the remake, because it's integral to the kind of like when dubstep was first come up. Honestly, that's a complete segue, but you're not going to understand what I'm about to say. There's this song that I knew that quotes Kurt Russell when he's doing the tape at night. When he goes, nobody trusts anybody anymore. And it's just that at the start of this song. Just goes, woo, 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 woo. And it's a sick dubstep song. Anyway, even before it was mainstream, 2008. So I knew of this, like I knew about it, and then like seeing the film, like it's integral to the soundtrack is, like we said, like with John Carpenter, he's scoring this film in order to complement what you're seeing in terms of the emotional, like I suppose he's like the whole thing when I was saying, oh, this would get me to sleep at night because of the soundtrack, etc., is because what he's doing is creating this tension that everything's like it's coming in on you, and there's only so as more of them die or get assimilated, then it's getting smaller and smaller, and the pressure's getting more and more and more, and like so it's an entire audio visual, like the journey of those themes and emotions that everybody's looking over their shoulder. And if you don't fucking replicate that in the soundtrack, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's because John Carpenter directs, produces, edits, soundtracks the whole thing, that he's able to create this entire like miniature, like microcosm. And you go and get some guys to do it with some. Do you know what I mean? It just it falls apart, and you can't. The themes, the actual core kind of like. Not the jump scare or what's directly on screen to you, but it's almost as if making the idea real in your psyche, making the idea of like humanity being taken over by something that you completely don't understand, that's completely able to assimilate, like that it's completely lying to you. That's a type of villain. That's a type of threat that is scary, like existentially scary, rather than it's not just about. Am I gonna die? Is this person gonna die in this moment? It's about the entire threat to a way of life and everything that we know to be human and to be familiar. That's it. Yeah. It's to be familiar and to be comfortable with. And so, saying all that, it got me to sleep at night.
But like the thing, like so, one of the main things people remember about the original, is the practical effects, and for some reason I cannot for the life of me understand in the 2011 prequel / remake, which I refer to it constantly as, is they did it all in CG, which at that point made no sense, because 4 years later what got really big, Stranger Things, 80s sort of theme stuff got super big. This is a film that is known for having practical effects and being kind of 80s-ish. Yeah. That's what it's known for. And for some reason, because I've seen
it's made in the 80s.
Yeah, I've seen the videos of the production team making like animatronic for the 2011 film.
Yeah. And then they didn't use any.
They didn't use any of it. The guys who made it ended up making an entirely new film with all of this stuff because they had no use for it. I've not seen it and I can't remember the name. which isn't necessarily a good point for me. But
should I look it up?
nah, who gives a fuck?
No, I don't care.
I've watched it. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. But it's like it's for some reason like they were like, this film is known for practical effects, and we're gonna do it all in CG.
Yeah.
Who the fuck was in charge of this goddamn film?
Yeah.
It makes no goddamn sense.
It was. No, you want the director?
I don't even know because the director didn't want it.
Oh.
It was suits. It was producers who were
Mathis
like, no.
Van Hedgingen Jr. Anyway,
Yeah, but
no one massive. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna approach that franchise with literally no respect to
you
John
need
Carpenter
to approach
or
the
way,
thing with a goddamn scalpel.
I mean, John Carpenter's still alive.
Yeah.
He's still doing.
You need to
bits,
approach the thing with a scalpel, military precision, because it's not some random film that people were like, "Oh, that was underrated."
No, I think they could have got
It is
away
a film that is loved.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah,
You need to be
loved.
fucking careful.
And that's the
with
problem,
that shit.
because the suits in Hollywood don't understand that just because something didn't make like $1 billion, like, do you know what I mean? They can't sidestep Arnold Schwarzenegger in the fucking Terminator franchise to redo that shit to save their fucking lives. Like, he's literally not been. He's been in only one. He was still in. Was he still in the one with Christian Bale? I think he had some sort of cameo. But anyway, the point is like, money speaks to money in Hollywood, and because they could buy the rights to the thing, but yet literally do it no justice, it fell flat on its face.
Exactly.
And that's the reason why it did, because they didn't treat it
Because
with the fact that people love this film more than any other film. There's a weird correlation between all film fans and, like, particularly, I know it's not a, it's got no women in it, so like it is a guy film. Like I don't like that expression, but it sort of kind of is. And like, just I know so many nerdy guys that just, the thing is the thing. It's just it's a pinnacle of like cult cinema.
That's the thing, because I like quite a few people in the remake. It's got Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who I love. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she's a great actress. But the problem is, I know her character as Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I don't know her character's name.
Yeah, and the original is established.
Yeah, it's I'm like, okay, so Norris, Palmer, Fuchs, Knowles, McCready, Gary. When I talk about the remake, it's okay. So it's Mary Elizabeth Winstead, the guy from NCIS, Tormund Greymon, the Norwegian guy.
Right.
I'm just going by like things I recognise.
You're literally not able to grasp
the French, the other woman.
Yeah.
The guy who dies straight away. I don't know these characters' names, and that's like, I watch a lot of slasher films, so I'm cool with it. But like, it's like a slasher film in the sense where like, we're not going to develop these characters at all.
So do you think, if there was another remake and they did all the things we've said to do and did none of the things we said to avoid, do you reckon it could be done?
I don't think it should be remade. I don't know why they did it.
I agree with you. I think it's a standalone masterpiece film. Like, I think that a lot of the stuff that we talk about, like, the ideas explored in, say, the first Matrix, can you really re-explore? Like, is there more to explore in the themes of something when it makes a social commentary in a really banging pop culture film? So, yeah, sorry, as I was saying, so like my thing to you, Nick, is what if they did everything they could do in like a Stranger Thing, in like a rebooted Netflix thing, with all of the the way that I was talking about the Dark Crystal is they took Jim Henson's blueprint for it, right? Literally the original molds of the puppets, rebuilt the puppets, worked out the animatronics, built the set design the same way he did it. If there were some new filmmakers or they were put into a series where they could do a continuation of the themes of the thing, do you think they'd be worth doing, or do you not? I mean, I don't know. Like, obviously, I was saying with the Matrix and stuff, like, is there a point to which we go, Hollywood is just a money-making machine, is there the point of doing the Matrix for I love the characters, I love Keanu Reeves, I love all these people, but at the same time, there's the cash cow element compared to how much an audience truly wants to see more of something. And I agree with you that the Thing is a masterpiece in what it does, what it is. But hell do I like what that is. And if they could replicate it in a way that felt refreshed and added to the story, if you like what happens to Kurt Russell afterwards, which we need to get on to the ending, because you know what happens in canon, and I just am a massive lover of the film. I don't really know what was written about with it, but do you think that's worth legs before we get on to the ending and the video game and stuff?
No.
Fine.
No, there are.
So my Netflix pitch to
there are certain films.
I was going to ask you to come and executive produce it with me. There are certain the big breaks over.
There are certain films that should generally not be touched.
Okay.
Like Pulp Fiction does not need to be remade.
That's a good point. I don't think Quentin Tarantino films are going to get remade
because they're quite timeless in the sense where it's like
I think
they're not dated that much.
No,
I think you could be like, oh, it looks dated, but it's like, no, that's because that's when it's set.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a weird curveball to throw me. I don't know if Tarantino. I don't think Tarantino's midway between mainstream and the whole, being a full-on, alternative director. I don't know. He's a bit like Hunter S. Thompson in the literature world. Like, you couldn't really replicate him because his style he relies on style. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because there are two
because the Thing remake ignores all of John Carpenter's style. Literally, what they could have done is they could have literally taken the soundtrack, let's say, and used different tones, but used it's like any theme tune. They re-edit it, don't they? From Terminator 1 to Terminator 2, etc. However, I don't think, Tarantino aside, if you wanted to replicate and really reboot the Thing, and you took literally all of the essential elements and you broke it down into a formula, I do think that it would be obviously a lot better than the remake that you've been talking about. Yeah. But I don't think that actually as themes, philosophically as people, we don't need that because we've got the original Thing.
Yeah, well, the way I see it, there are films that shouldn't be remade and films that should not be remade.
Right, okay.
No, because, Pulp Fiction shouldn't be remade because what the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's basically perfect as is.
Yeah.
Citizen Kane shouldn't be remade. I don't even like Citizen Kane. I think it's boring as fuck.
I can't
but, you shouldn't remake that. You know what I mean? It's basically perfect as is. The Usual Suspects is perfect as is. American Beauty.
They've remade that.
I know, but American Beauty is perfect as is.
Okay, yeah.
Saving Private
Apart
Ryan.
From they're problematic.
Problematic. That's a fan of it.
I mean, the
Saving Private
gay subplot as well now.
I know,
That's
but
entirely different context.
that can still be. Yeah, it doesn't. But that still can if you just replace it with an actor, it would still be
okay.
Saving Private Ryan should be remade because it's basically private. But there are films that should not be remade.
Right.
And that's just in films that aren't necessarily perfect. Like, if someone said, they're remaking Reanimator, I would say, how fucking dare they?
Yeah.
That film should not be touched.
Right.
There are films that the fan base itself would be like, if you remake this, it's not a film that is going to attract people who aren't interested in the film itself, the franchise. If someone said we're remaking Reanimator, that will not be... The people who don't care about Reanimator aren't going to be interested.
Yeah.
And the people who are into Reanimator will be very upset.
Would you?
I would not watch it.
Would it send you to Twitter to denounce,
I would
views?
Get Twitter.
Yeah.
For
right.
There's if someone remade Reanimator, it would just piss off Reanimator fans, and people who weren't fans wouldn't care.
Yeah.
If you remade Society, exact same thing. If you remade Edward Scissorhands,
alright, yeah, good point. Yeah,
the people who don't care about Edward Scissorhands wouldn't go watch it, and the people who are fans of Edward Scissorhands would be like, I'm not going to watch it because I don't want you to remake this. It's one of those but the thing is, one of the things you shouldn't and should not remake this. Because it's perfect as is, and if you did, no one was excited to see the remake.
Yeah. No one asked for it. None of the fans wanted it, and none of the and then the research they did, like, I don't know what research they do in Hollywood in order to see whether or not people like want this product, like want this new film, like what the actual like demand for anything is. I don't think that it's as. I don't think. Well, they clearly missed the mark because they wouldn't lose all this money on all these films if they knew what they would. If there was a way to analyze audiences and go, this is the sort of film they want right now. I mean, my personal feeling is, I watched this Adam Curtis documentary a few years ago, and it's all about how society and pop culture like interact with one another. So it shows you the 10 years before 9/11 and what we have in the 90s. That was one of the biggest sort of things is the disaster movie. So we've got Independence Day blowing everything up. We've got things like everything getting destroyed. What I watched, Deep Impact. I watched Deep Impact the other day. All of these films, right? And it sort of is a precursor to what happens in society. And then obviously we have 9/11.
Yeah.
In today's day and age, if you actually want to analyse the trends of what's going on, and it's a bit spooky to think about this. So it makes that point a few years ago about what happened in the 90s and then 2001 with 9/11. And we've had a decade of zombie movies.
Yeah.
And now we live in a global pandemic where we're not supposed to go outside and people are dying, like of some unknown illness. Like, so if Hollywood did want to predict each thing, all I'm saying is, if you want to know what's going to go wrong in 10 years' time, watch what's about to come out in the fucking, like...
What's hot in Hollywood?
Yeah. No, but it's fucking true. Like, you have the disaster movies, then the war on terror. You have the zombie movies, then a global pandemic. Like, if we start having futuristic war movies, World War III is going to happen. And it's fucking I bet you are listening to this in some kind of shell-shocked, like, bunker. I am so sorry for being the precursor of death and destruction to all of the West and most of the world. But, unfortunately, it's probably going to happen. And, like, it's just weird that is a real thing. And we live in, like... end times.
Yeah, well, you know, it's...
I feel like Blair. I feel like at that moment, the gun. Do I get the gun? What do I... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like...
No, it's a turning point. But you wanted to talk about the ending.
I wanted to talk about the ending because you've played the video game that gives you some extra content on the ending.
But I'm gonna let you...
Let
I don't
me
want to...
talk.
I don't want to, like...
I want to give the blind man's perspective.
Yes.
And then I want the all-seeing, all-knowing God that is Nicholas to come along and tell me I'm wrong.
Yes.
So, at the end of the film, at that giant monstrous thing, it brings the most grotesque fucking... It's all of the things melded together into some giant sort of dinosaur, gloopy thing with 3 heads. And... and continuity. Yeah. You won't know what that means unless you watch great films and listen to the Final Cut, Half Cut with me, Jason Winter. And so we've got this gloopy dinosaur-y megalodon-like thing with the dogs and everything all together, and it don't know what it is. It's just a giant monster. And actually, that is my favourite line in the film because it bursts out and it has... and does all of the show and tell of all of the dogs and the thing and the grotesqueness and all of this and the massiveness of it, and just Kurt Russell just pulls out the grenade and goes, "Yeah, well, fuck you too."
I was gonna say, is that the line? Because that's a fucking
It
great
is the
line.
greatest line at destroying the final boss
That
ever.
is such a great response.
Ever. Yeah, well, fuck you too. And it's just like, like I want to be that. I want to be that guy. Like fucking brilliant. And then obviously everything's ablaze, and then Kurt Russell's fucked. He knows he's absolutely exhausted, and he's in the middle of nowhere, and they've got no resources, and he's going to freeze to death after the fire runs out.
Yeah.
And then Charles rocks up.
Keith Davis,
with a bottle of whiskey still, and they're sharing a bottle of whiskey, literally fucked by the side of the site. And they just stare at each other, and he's like, you know, how am I supposed to know you aren't one of those? Like, he's like, where were you, Charles? And he's like, I got lost on a patrol, like, and all this, and then they have this back and forth, and they're like, essentially, the film ends with like, it's basically like a Western standoff. It's a complete cliffhanger Because it's like who goes to sleep first, who dies first. Like, do you know what I mean? Like they trust.
Yeah.
You think they trust each other, but they don't trust each other. whatsoever. You have no idea how it ends. You have no idea what happens next. That's why I asked you about if they did a Stranger Things. What do you call it?
Sequel?
No, when they did the retro thing back in time, it's they call it. Oh, my mind's gone blank. It's like a period drama, but now our period dramas are like 30 years ago in the 80s. Like a period drama was classically hundreds of years ago, like Game of Thrones hundreds of years ago. Yeah. Downton Abbey is a period drama, but Stranger Things is also a period drama because what we're doing is we're taking the iconography of the 80s and we're like transposing that as our way to brand the thing. Yeah. So we did that, and that's what I think would be interesting. But I think that what do I think? Because I know I'm going to be wrong. I thought that both of them aren't the thing, and they're just good. They live.
I was gonna say because you're missing. There's a few theories that are going around.
Go on, right?
So one of the big theories was that you can't see child's breath. You can. Ooh. It's just the way. The lighting, if you put it in a different like
the lighting's on Kurt Russell, so exactly. He's got the shadow. Of
also, Charles does not have the whiskey. McCready has the whiskey, but it's not whiskey. It might have been because they were making Molotov cocktails, right?
Right.
So the theory goes, McCready offered Childs some of the Molotov cocktail, which is just petrol,
to see if the
thing, because the thing wouldn't react. Know. He would just drank it and be like, "Yep, that's the drink."
Yeah.
But because McCready starts laughing.
Yes.
Some people read that as McCready offering Childs petrol's drinking, and he's like, I know you're the thing.
Yeah.
Because you've just acted like that's not petrol. Oh. That is on the theories. But I played the PS2, the Thing game.
Right. Deep diving now.
Yeah, because I played it when I was young. It's not a bad game. It's got a pretty decent squad mechanic, even though it's kind of broken because you can test a dude, but then it turns out they were infected, but they weren't. But so the game begins with you finding Childs frozen to death, so he definitely wasn't the thing. But you don't find McCready.
So you don't play either of them?
No, you play a military group that have gone to find out what's happened. Investigate it. So you find Childs. You don't find McCready. McCready's gone. So you know Childs was a human. You end up fighting through like bosses and shit. Then you end up fighting the government because the government's gonna want to get involved in this shit.
Aren't you the government?
No, but it's you know how like it's like the government wants this, and you're like I've got to destroy it.
Right. So they're like groundhogs, and then the FBI wants to get involved.
Yeah. But then the final battle, you get picked up in a helicopter by a stranger in a cowboy hat.
Right.
And you're strafing around this guy. Then he goes, name's McCready. So in the video game, McCready lives and neither of them are infected. There was also a comic book, I'm pretty sure, where McCready lives and I think Charles dies. But I think it turns out both of them were human.
Right.
Because the film ends
I called it.
You could because the film ends with Charles like walking off into the snow because he thinks he sees someone.
Really? I thought it just ended them looking.
No, but like before, like not before that, but before that, Charles like sees someone. And he walks into the snow.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I thought I saw Blair, so I want to follow him. But then turns out it's like no, they were just both right.
Do you think in the world of Thing, in that John Carpenter world, like in the end, do you think that the Thing escapes? In some way? Or?
Well, I've played the video game, so I know.
So it does.
I know it's still there.
Oh right, okay.
And it's got a very poor imagination because it's basically just head crabs, constant head crabs in game. But
the game sounds limited then.
The game it's not a bad game. It's got a very for like a early PS2. It's actually a very good game.
I quite want to play it. I've got my PS2 set up, so I got my. I literally like got the PS2 Wii like. Yeah. Cleaned them all out, the disc trays, everything, booted them all up, sorted them all out. I've got Duke Nukem Time to Kill, Duke Nukem Land of the Babes, and Vice City and Mario Kart Wii. What else do you need?
I was really hoping you're going to be like more Duke. It's like, I only play Duke Nukem
Yeah,
games.
just Duke Nukem games. I remember being like 8 and my mate first introduced me to Duke Nukem, and obviously his name's Duke Nukem, but obviously my understanding of the Royal British family, I was like, no, it's pronounced Duke.
No, this is Nukem.
Yeah, so Nukem
of Wessex.
Yeah, of Wandsworth.
Yeah.
No, like, yeah, that's weird. I don't know. I mean, The Thing is a banger. I mean, have I missed anything? I feel like we've said Thing a lot in the Thing podcast. Like you said, the thing about The Thing is...
Yeah, well, it's like getting a film called The where it's like, this is a fucking godsend, because I can just do well, and it's like, no, that's the name of the thing. Like, I can just I can say the as much as I want.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's really nice.
What soundtrack banging. The whole, I mean, he wrote the whole thing. It's a tight script. The characters are amazing. Kurt Russell. We haven't talked too much about. I mean, all right, we need to cover this. Kurt Russell working with John Carpenter on what, 4 films? Escape from New York, The Thing, and I think it's
Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China. I think that's about it. 4 films I think he's done with him.
And he's probably had like a cameo in something.
Yeah, what was the Kurt Russell film he did where he had like a peg leg thing and there was 3 women who wanted to murder him? There's a like really mental film that he did last 10 years. Do you remember that?
Is this a fever dream you experienced?
No. Oh, I've lost my... Oh, yeah.
You threw your phone away.
I threw my phone away.
And I've not got a connection.
Fucking recording. No, I mean, just Kurt Russell as a conspirator of John Carpenter was quite good. So, cheers, mate. I mean, like, I just thought, like, you know, that's quite interesting.
No, I mean, he was probably in, like...
But, I mean, we should cover Kurt Russell briefly, because we haven't really talked about Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I like Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
he's a solid actor. He's not my favourite. I've never like loved him in a film, but I can depend on him. Oh, that's Tarantino though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So we mentioned Tarantino earlier, and so I just thought he's one of. Oh, what's Stargate about?
Is that like the Stargate TV show film?
Oh yeah, of course.
It's when they go to Egypt, ancient Egypt, and turns out to be aliens.
That's really quite good. I quite like that film.
I didn't watch that shit.
No,
I thought Stargate was fucking weak.
What, the TV show?
Yeah,
the film's a lot better than the TV show.
Every film's better than the TV show.
Well, don't start that. We've been doing this for an hour and 20 minutes, mate, and you can't just say that.
I'm throwing it out there. Every film's better than the TV show.
There's not a lot of film TV franchises. I mean, The Terminator is better than the Terminator TV show, so I've instantly shut you down there.
I said the film's better than the TV show.
Oh, right, yeah. You did.
So you're agreeing with me?
Oh, right, yeah, I did, yeah.
There's not been a single TV show better than the film.
Oh, right, okay. Wow.
You could argue...
TV show better than the film?
You could argue El Camino of Breaking Bad, but I don't like Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah, the film's rubbish. Yeah,
I don't like Breaking Bad.
Why don't you like Breaking Bad?
I hate Walter White.
Why?
I think he's a twat.
Why?
Because he's a shithead. I don't like him. I don't like watching him do anything. I find him really annoying.
But don't you understand the motivation?
I get it, but I also think he's a prick.
Like, he could just move to the UK and... Like,
no, not even that. I mean, where he's like... I don't like people... Because there's the big thing's like, I'm the one who knocks.
Yeah. Right?
And that's him yelling at his wife, acting like, I'm actually really hard, and then it turns out he's not really hard. Because every actual criminal is like, no, you ain't shit, you just cook for us, you're a bitch.
Yeah.
But he's like, I'm actually really cool. And he's like, no, you're not. You're kind of pathetic, and everyone thinks you're really cool. I hate Breaking Bad. I like Breaking Bad, but I skip over every Walter White scene because I can't stand him. He's not even like, I love to hate him. I just hate watching him.
Wow, that's a strong
That's
opinion.
what I prefer Better Call Saul so much more.
Hey, I don't have anything controversial to say today.
No, but every time I watch Breaking, I stopped watching Breaking Bad because I can't watch Walter White. I find him so fucking annoying.
I'm trying to think something I hate as much as you don't. No, I mean, no, I'd only be assimilating an opinion, a bit like The Thing does, bringing it right back to today.
Hit him with the right hook.
That's it. No, I just literally don't know.
I would say Walter White is definitely my most, in terms of like a protagonist I'm supposed to like.
Yeah.
I hate Walter White. I can't stand him.
Fair enough. I mean, I like Kurt Russell because he's quite.
Kurt Russell's a cool guy.
Like, Kurt Russell is a cool guy, right? He's. What was it? What did he do in the Avengers? He was the.
He was
in Ant-Man. No, that's what's his face? Oh, for fuck's sake! I've just derailed this entire podcast.
He was definitely someone.
Kurt Russell in Avengers.
I was gonna say he's Thor's dad, but that definitely wasn't Thor's dad. He was
in Civil War, wasn't he? As the director of. No, he was the. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 as the God guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but he was
planet.
Ego. He was Ego.
Yeah,
he was Ego, the fucking human planet.
Yeah, human planet thing.
Of course.
Yeah.
I should have known that.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, Guardians fans, that we forgot what Kurt Russell was doing.
That's
was
me.
A fucking payday.
That's me.
Payday.
He was actually really good in that.
He was quite good in it.
I love Guardians. I've only watched Avengers and Infinity War like last week.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I like them. They're pretty good films.
What do you mean you've only watched Avengers? Like what? So you didn't watch Endgame?
No, I watched Endgame and Infinity like 3 days ago.
Wow. What, you hadn't seen them?
I hadn't seen them.
Did you like it?
I really liked them.
Yeah,
they were solid films. Although Captain Marvel does kind of ruin the films because she's so powerful. She kind of makes everyone else redundant.
Yeah.
Because she like. There's a bit where like the ship's like firing down on all of our heroes, and then she just rocks up and like decks it in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, she just blasts through it.
It's like, why is anyone else here, bruv? Just send Marvel out.
It's the Superman problem.
Yeah.
Because like Henry Cavill in The Witcher, he's even hencher than he is as Superman. He's got a good character. He's allowed to be rude to people and stuff. Yeah. He's allowed to swear. And so therefore it's quite good. I'll do it. Ready? ACMR fans? Fuck.
ACMR.
Is that what it is?
It's ASMR. You said AC.
What is it? ASMR.
ASMR.
What does it stand for? Audio
Sensory Meridian Response.
You've done your research, mate.
Yeah, I know.
Alright. ASMR fans got pissed off the ACMR reference. Fuck. There you go.
I don't think that would get them into it, to be honest.
Yeah, fine, Nick, fine. You have to go right up. No, I'm not going to do that. We've already messed with the audio.
I'm going to crinkle some fucking corn.
Yeah. But no, so like the Superman problem being like, you know, he's boring, and so is Captain Marvel because it's like, all right.
Well, I've had problems with the way they're portrayed. Superman
We've talked about power levels before with superhero stuff.
Yeah, I know, but like they don't. No one, for some reason, no one knows how to fucking make Superman. They always kind of fuck it up.
Yeah.
Because Superman is a human first.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they always portray him as someone who doesn't get people.
Yeah.
But he was raised on a farm because...
despite all of his differences, that
he's a human. He's a human.
At heart.
Where it's like, there's like a bit where like...
The original Superman, 1970 Superman, does convey that idea. I think because they cover the bullying in high school and like his transition as being a man and this sort of coming of age story. Obviously, they had people like fucking, the dad. Come on, Marlon Brando. They treat that was the first original superhero film that in the 1970s, like. It is just a banging film. I rate that film still today.
No, but it's like, especially in the Zack director. What's his name?
Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder. He portrays him as someone who doesn't really get people.
Yeah.
And
as this alien god.
Yeah, he's like, I don't really understand. Like, I'm kind of like, things like, no, Superman really, really understands people. Because in the comics, there are bits where like Supergirl's depressed and he just like rocks out of ice cream. Is like, ice cream?
Yeah.
Like, what's the matter? He really understands people. That is what makes him so
That's
important.
What Superman is, yeah.
He's an alien who properly understands people.
So how much do you agree that The Thing is a prequel to the Superman franchise?
100%. 100%.
He's his ultimate enemy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because the Thing tries to assimilate humans, whereas Superman just tries to understand.
He's like, I'm a human.
And that's how we
chilling.
bring this current tangent back to the Thing. Right, okay. We've been talking for some time, but just to wrap it up, I know we went on a rant there about other interesting stuff that's going on currently, but other thoughts, mate, on the Thing? Anything you want to add about anybody in the Thing, the making of the Thing? I like to say, just quickly, that the actual scale and scope of how they shot the opening, really, like, I love the opening with just the white and the mountains and stuff, and the dog going through the snow, and the pureness of the shots. Like, obviously the dog that they got a beautiful husky that, like, because it's white and grey with the blue eyes and just the whiteness of the shots and the greyness of the things, it's just so it's using 3 or 4 colours maximum.
Yeah.
White, black, grey, black, and the blue of its eyes, right? And the helicopter being all black, trying to shoot it down. So in the opening of the film, like, it's just a beautiful, beautiful opening, and it's just so crystal clear. And it's interesting to note that, like, I think it's one of those films that looks so bleak, and it looks genuinely like they shot it in Antarctica, but they just shot it in, like, northern Canada, which obviously there's loads of fucking snow up there, but they didn't do the thing. You can imagine if it was a Marvel film like we've been discussing, they would have done a sound stage, making it like with a fucking giant warehouse, and spent $10 million just on making it look like there was snow. But they just go, and it's a bit like the same argument with the CGI versus special, like, actual effects. You just go to a fucking snow desert. Like, just go there. Stop doing the thing. I know Star Wars, we've had arguments about Star Wars, but the original Star Wars went out in the middle of the fucking desert. And they've had to spend millions of dollars just replicating that. Like, just go there. Just go and get the real shot. And it adds a depth of reality you can't replicate.
Yeah, because people are like, oh, you can't know. It's like, no, there are sometimes I generally cannot notice the CGI, and a lot of times, like, they'll do videos where, like, bet you didn't notice the CGI, and 9 times out of 10 I can be like, I did not know that was CGI. Yeah. But a lot of time it's like, did you know Yoda actually wasn't fighting Count Dooku? And I'm like, yeah, I could fucking tell. Yeah. It looks fucking awful.
You can't get a 3-foot midget to run up a wall.
It's like, if you can do it in real life, if you can do it in real life, just do it in real life.
Imagine if they got Warwick Davis wired up, though.
That would be amazing, and I want that even more.
Yeah, I want that even more. Let's make a game show. Someone tweet Ricky Gervais and get him. That's ableist. I don't like that.
CGI should be used purely to add on. It should not be the main thing. Yeah. Because it's like, have you watched Mindhunter on Netflix?
No, but I know I need to.
Mindhunter's
very
great.
Good things.
And they use a lot of CGI, but that's purely to be like, we're going to add some trees. Yeah. And you cannot tell that trees have been added.
Similarly in the Matrix, like when they built in Matrix Reloaded, if you watch, they Carrie-Anne Moss was actually, like, bizarrely trained as a superbike, like, racer by her dad. Like, she was going to be, like, she was an amateur professional motorbike racer, right?
Good for you, Trinity.
And so, like, that's why she's on the superbikes all the time in the films. A cool kind of, like, thing for a character anyway. But the Wachowskis actually integrated that kind of technology. And like what I was saying with the Dark Crystal, I think that's the way that CGI needs to be utilised. It needs to blur the line between reality and making things bigger and better than what they can be. So in the Dark Crystal, they're slightly animating their mouths, like they're slightly adding the tongues to the Skeksis. They're adding more detail and more light elements to the landscape. But they aren't the things. You're not using them to placate physical light, physical shade, the dark, like I was saying with smoke machines, you know, how you can cascade light through a shot, and you need to add that depth of field. And then the Matrix, in Reloaded, when they built the motorway sequences, I think I mentioned in our Matrix podcast, like they built that. They spent $2 million just building a fucking freeway in the middle of nowhere, right? And so that when you're seeing those shots of Trinity driving through the traffic, 50% of the cars are real, but 50% of them are added because obviously she needs to be driving at like 30 miles an hour slowly, and so they sped the shot up and then added artificial cars so that it looked like she's weaving in and out of all this really frenetic traffic. And I totally agree with you. Like, excuse me, the way that I think CGI is there to enhance an original and a real set, a real, like, you know, whether that's puppets, whether that's animatronics, whether that's just people in a set. And you can do, I would say the way that Hollywood needs to go forward with special effects is do as much as you can physically that looks right, and then do as little as you have to with CGI to enhance it. And that way you get the most realistic but the most perfect balance of it all.
That's the thing. It was like, because Fast and the Furious, I don't really care about those films that much. They're like, they make so much money.
I'm really sorry that it's the biggest franchise.
No, but it's things like I do have quite a lot of respect for that franchise.
I do as well.
All the stunts they do is practical.
Yeah.
They will drive a car over a cliff.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong.
I have so much. I don't watch it because I'm like, but so like, if someone's like, oh, I'm going to watch it, I'll be like, yeah, I appreciate you. Like,
you're not going on about the family, but
yeah, I don't
appreciate that.
Yeah, like, but it's like, but when someone's like, if someone's like, oh, yo, that all that was done in real life,
yeah,
I would be like, holy shit, that is fucking amazing. Blah blah blah. If someone's like, oh, guess what, that was all done in CGI, that entire fight scene, I'd be like, okay, I don't really care.
Yeah,
like, good for you. You're really good with a computer, and I know that it's disrespectful to people who are really good at CGI, but it's like, I don't care if no one's getting punched.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like when we covered Tom Cruise, like his whole career is predicated on I do my own stunts.
Yeah.
The stunt gets bigger and bigger from one Mission Impossible to the other. And so there's that idea, and I mean, it's a typical action hero, action star thing. You know, Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger's like sort of war in the 80s about who gets the most on-screen kills, who carries the biggest gun, who does this, who's got the biggest, who this, that. It's all a macho, fuck you kind of like one off the other, right? And you have that, and then at a certain point in Hollywood, it got to, and still, I imagine Wesley Snipes must be like, let me jump off this fucking thing and fuck this guy up, you know. And they went, no, we've got this computer to do it. Oh, you can go home. Don't pay your taxes. And I need to stop. Like, I have never at any point stopped hassling Wesley Snipes about the taxes.
I feel like we're allowed to because we do generally love Wesley Snipes.
Like, I do love Wesley Snipes. Like, I do. And so I will make you tax it. You don't have to pay me no taxes, mate.
I will pay your taxes.
No, you can't afford that.
I can't. Millions. But for one day, just let me be your boy. Wesley.
Day walker of taxes.
Wesley, just holler at me. I'll pay some of your taxes. Man. I love you, bro. You're like,
yeah, it's like a trope of, you know, when you've got a alpha star, whether it's Tom Cruise, Arnie, whoever, it doesn't matter. The recent last 30 years of like action stars, yeah, they know that the audience knows that they want an element of danger to be real. It's the bloodlust. It's the same reason you watch used to watch Evil Knievel try and fucking fly off the Grand Canyon. It's because it would be spectacular if it went right, but it'd be oh so gory if it went wrong. And that sort of element with special effects and with particularly in action, like I know we've gone on another tangent, but at the end of the day, like, it does mean something to an audience. It means something to guys that are into the alpha action thing, yeah, because they want to believe. Like when I was a kid, right? When I was 10 years old, thinking, oh, I can go down the gym one day and get muscly or whatever. I remember some guy like 5 years older than me, like bullied me and like had this moment like of like revealing that Arnold Schwarzenegger took steroids and like the idea of it all being fake, and I like got really upset about it. And I'm like, look at that now, and I go, like I know as an adult, obviously all fucking people that get to that level are on steroids are doing like, do you know what I mean? It's like what he was saying to me then doesn't make it any less true that I that guy was my idol and that was appealing to me, like. But it had to have some authenticity, even as a child. Yeah. Like it had to be like I had to be like, no, the guy is legit. Like,
well, I would say there's also an artistic.
I knew he wasn't a robot. By the way. Like,
no, there's also like an artistic. Like if I'm watching a Jackie Chan fight scene,
yes, Jackie Chan's a good example.
Like if someone told me like,
Bruce Lee, Jet Li,
like if someone told me, but by the way, that's not Jackie Chan, that's a stunt double. I'd be like, well, I don't respect Jackie Chan that much.
Yeah.
I respect
That's
the stunt.
the sort of thing I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like there's something like because I watch a lot of like martial art films.
Yeah.
If someone told me like, oh, by the way, that is just some guy doing all these fight scenes, I'd be like,
ruined.
I'd rather watch that guy.
They would have never had careers.
I don't
the
care
point.
about this guy.
It was integral to their careers. Bruce Lee is the archetype. Bruce Lee created that because he literally invented his own fucking martial art and was a genius.
Yeah.
And he was physically like you know, the whole 1-inch punch, all of that is like, it's actually a really random, interesting conversation we got into about the whole legitimacy of like the physicality of a role. Like, obviously in acting, when you talk about Marlon Brando and people that used to be real method actors that would adopt this thing, absorb all of it, and then become it, and then like that's they literally think they're that person that moment, and that's one thing, right? About the acting, but then it's another thing to market the product, the film, the actor, the celebrity. And then we had to have, after Bruce Lee, we had to have Jean-Claude Van Damme, we had to have Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, Arnold Schwarzenegger was spoken about by film directors and producers as a literal special effect. That his body was a special effect. Yeah. That he's so hench that, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it was instant, like, because you couldn't get people like that. There's a thing about, read an article about the first ever, the science fiction novel that's been tried to be
June.
Yeah, June. So the first of June, there's actually about to be an actual film finished now, but people have tried to make it multiple times in Hollywood.
I think David Lynch.
Yeah, he tried to do it. No, I can't remember if it was him or whatever, but just before Alien got made, right? I think it might be in the David Lynch production, but basically what they did on that production was the foundation of things like Arnold Schwarzenegger's career, of things, let me get into it, is that instead of producing a film where we pretend that there's a tribe, right, and we pretend these people are alien, right, what you do is you fly out to Africa and you just speak to an indigenous tribe and you take their shit and you use it in an alien film context. So you just take an African tribe and dress them up as aliens and you use the otherness. So when Arnold Schwarzenegger decided to become an actor, directors would use him because he's not a good actor in any way, shape or form. In Conan the Barbarian, he's there because he's physically the fucking biggest man you've ever fucking seen and he'll fucking destroy you. And therefore you go, that's Conan the Barbarian, right? Yeah. And so what it was Hollywood learning how to outsource all of these other things. I'll give you another example. Apollo Creed in Rocky, he was a football star. Like fucking, what's his name? He's in Predator as well. If I forget this,
I know.
I forget this now.
I want to say Bill Duke, but that's the other
Carl
guy.
Weathers.
Carl
Weathers was a American quarterback that Sylvester Stallone just knew of, right? And he was just like, I need to hire you. You're the most physically impressive guy I know, and you're the heavyweight champion of the world. And so I don't want to go on too much about this point, but it's about the point of outsourcing those things because, you know, the age of the recurrence of special effects, or not just special effects, but animatronics and puppetry, etc. I really hope that you you can't even CGI that, and people in Hollywood try to do that now. I get quite annoyed with is it The Boys on Amazon?
Amazon, yeah.
Yeah, like they've got these pumped up suits, and the guy hasn't really done the work at like the Superman character. Like you can tell he's put into a thing like this, and then like his neck, and I'm like, fucking go down the gym, you prick.
Well, that does make sense in context of The Boys.
Yeah, it does make context
because they're like
satire. Yeah,
because they're being like advertised as being like superheroes. So I feel like that could work in context.
I'm not that far in, so please don't.
I know, but like in the very beginning, like we sell.
Yeah, they sell the whole. It's like American Dream.
Yeah. So like that makes sense. Being like, well, this guy's not in shape, but we will sell him as being in shape. That does make sense.
Okay, all right, I got you. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't know, that film, that show's a bit too gory for me. Like when blood splatter.
I like The Boys. Boys is a good show.
I just found it a bit too intense. I was like,
I liked it.
It's very visceral with the blood and the gore and stuff, and like because it's filmed in that way, like I don't know. I was like, I want to watch a comedy now. Okay. So to conclude, I think this is the first podcast where we've deep dived on something and we haven't come back throughout. You know, when we usually go through, we deep dive on something and we go, yeah, I like it because of this, like it because of that. However, and then every single time we come out of a discussion or something, we end up saying that it's shit. Whereas I think we can both agree, we've come out of this discussion and The Thing is still a fucking masterpiece and it's amazing.
Yeah,
you can't rip it. There's nothing wrong with it.
It's one of those things where like, I wish it was kind of treated better.
Yeah, I wish it was. It is underrated. It is underrated. They should go and fucking
I wouldn't
re-release.
say it's underrated because I think like if you asked a film person like what is the best
No, I
horror
know,
film?
but it's underrated in terms of its commercial success and like you know they
Well,
should re-release it and go and raise another 100
one thing I
million.
forgot to mention earlier was like when this film was released, it was hated.
Yeah, it got really bad reviews.
Like
didn't
people
it?
were like treating it like how we treat like Saw.
Yeah.
And Hostel was like it's just a gore fest. It's like back then like. It was so new with the way it did practical effects. Like people were like, "This is disgusting. This is a shit. This film is awful. It's a blood and gore fest." But now, like 30 years later, people are going like, "This film is amazing." Like people now appreciate it.
It is one of those films with like the crab head, spider head thing that you were talking about, where you watch those sequences and you go, "How did you do that?" Like. Legitimately, there's some things in Star Wars where I look at it and I go, like you can as you're watching it, you know the original R2D2, shit man. So I've had 3 cans of Fosters and a battered, it's like you go, I can see how they're doing that, like, and then you can see with the Yoda and you work it out, and then you know when you're watching Dark Crystal, I go, how did they do this? And then I'll go back to the original of The Thing and I go, this is one of those films that it's just groundbreaking in how they had to go about things.
Like the amount
and
of
on
effort.
such a tight budget, the amount of effort, like the amount of love that John Carpenter must have to innovate in the industry in order to achieve things that, like, most people just can't be bothered to do. Like, it's one thing to go and want to make, like, to tell a story, and it's one thing to, and it's another thing to create the technology in order to make that story better and more like unique than it's ever been told. And it's those people in film that have that commercial element, have that artistic element, and they bring it together and they know how to tell a story and they captivate an audience in a way that you could spend 100 times the amount of money. It doesn't fucking matter. The creative vision comes through, and it comes through in the right time in a perfect way. And The Thing, John Carpenter, 1982, is a goddamn masterpiece. And that's that.
It's a fantastic film.
Awesome. Is that the final cut, half cut?
Yeah, I believe it is.
I think it is. This has been another episode of the Final Cut, Half Cut with me and Nick. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Cheers, mate.
Amen.
Amen.